The movie follows the lives of Rapazov, a former hitman now confined to a wheelchair, and a young man named Zalika, who has used a wheelchair since birth due to a disability. Zalika, who could probably turn rolling into an Olympic event, shares a dorm room with his best friend, Barba, a guy so loyal he'd probably fight off a bear with a frying pan if it came to that. Zalika has a talent for sketching comics, and Barba often joins him, offering ideas that range from genius to completely absurd. Like, what if the hero's superpower was making snacks appear out of nowhere? The two live in a special facility for people with disabilities. The place is less like a hospital and more like a summer camp where no one actually wants to be, but everyone secretly enjoys. There's space to move around, a decent cafeteria, and enough quirky residents to fill a sitcom. Zalika and Barba, being the facility's dynamic duo, are always up to something. One day, Barba rolls into their room, grinning like he's just won the lottery. Instead of cash, though, he's holding a fire extinguisher. "I stole it," he announces proudly. Zalika bursts out laughing. "You stole that? What's next, the vending machine?" "Don't tempt me," Barba replies. Naturally, the two head outside to test their newfound treasure. The scene turns chaotic quickly, with Zalika pretending to be a firefighter and Barba trying to recreate a foggy London street with the extinguisher spray. Their fun is cut short when Rapazov appears, rolling into the alley like a boss in a video game. "Got a light?" Rapazov asks, his tone more intimidating than polite. Barba hesitates but hands over his lighter, adding nervously, "You know, smoking's prohibited here. You could get fined or expelled." Rapazov smirks, taking a long drag. "Kid, I've been expelled from life." He then launches into a grim story about his days as a firefighter, pulling children from burning buildings. Barba listens with wide eyes, while Zalika mutters, "Well, that escalated quickly." Then, out of nowhere, Rapazov slaps Zalika. The sheer randomness of the act stuns them both. Zalika, offended and not one to back down, tries to retaliate but quickly realizes Rapazov's upper body strength is no joke. After being pinned to the ground, Zalika groans, "You win. But just so you know, you've officially lost your invite to my imaginary wedding." Feeling guilty, or maybe just bored, Rapazov apologizes a few moments later. He invites Zalika and Barba for drinks to make up for his outburst. The two friends, slightly skeptical but always up for an adventure, agree. At the bar, Rapazov orders enough alcohol to make a frat party look like a tea gathering. Barba stares at the table full of drinks. "Are we celebrating something? Or did you just rob a liquor store?" "Life is short," Rapazov says, raising his glass. "Drink up." During their buzz conversation, Barba jokingly asks if Rapazov is in the drug business. Rapazov laughs, so hard he nearly spills his drink, replying, "If I were, I wouldn't be hanging out with you two amateurs." He does, however, mention that he could use a driver. Barba immediately volunteers, declaring, "I've got a car and a license, well, mostly the car part." Later, Zalika lies down on the bar's couch, complaining about his back. Rapazov dismisses it. "My back hurts all the time too. It's called being old." Zalika glares. "Yeah, well, my back doesn't hurt because I'm old. It hurts because my spine hates me." Rapazov, realizing Zalika's health issues are serious, awkwardly changes the subject, pitching an idea that sounds straight out of a thriller movie. What if they became assassins? He promises a life of excitement and luxury, which is pretty tempting when you've been living off cafeteria food and sarcasm. A few days later, Zalika finds himself in the hospital for a surgery he eventually refuses to go through. His father, who abandoned him as a baby upon learning about his disability, offers to pay for it. Zalika declines, muttering, "If I wanted guilt money, I'd have started a crowdfunding page." Meanwhile, Rapazov is waiting for a target in a deserted parking lot. A car pulls up, and several men approach him. One of them stabs him in the leg, but Rapazov doesn't even flinch. "Joke's on you," he says dryly. "I haven't felt my legs in years." The thugs laugh nervously, right before Rapazov pulls a gun from a plastic bag and takes them out, action movie style. An ambulance arrives, and Rapazov meets a doctor named Zita, who patches him up. They chat briefly, and Rapazov develops feelings for her, even asking her to a movie. Zita gently turns him down, explaining she's already engaged. Heartbroken, Rapazov contemplates jumping off a bridge but stops himself. "Great," he mutters. "Now even gravity doesn't want me." Eventually, he returns to his old life. His boss pays him and warns him to stay out of sight, but Rapazov continues involving Zalika and Barba in his escapades. When Zalika refuses money from his estranged father, Barba jokes, "You could have at least taken the cash and bought us a flat-screen TV." One day, Rapazov waits outside the hospital with a bouquet of roses for Zita, only to see her laughing with her fiancé. Crushed, he throws the roses in a trash can, muttering, "At least someone's getting a happy ending. Probably the roses." Rapazov is assigned a new mission: kill an official during lunch at a highway restaurant. He teams up with Zalika and Barba, who help him set up an elaborate plan involving pigeons and a crowd to cover his movements. The plan goes off without a hitch, proving that 3 disabled men can pull off a flawless assassination. Later, Zalika, Barba, and Rapazov celebrate by eating fast food in a parking lot. "We just committed a high-profile murder," Barba says, chewing on fries. "Shouldn't we be eating steak or something fancy?" Rapazov shrugs. "Luxury isn't about what you eat. It's about who you eat with." They laugh, but their fun is short-lived. Rapazov's boss, furious about him breaking the rules, beats him up and leaves him lying in the street. As Rapazov lies there, staring at the stars, he mutters, "This is why I never read the employee handbook." After their confrontation, Rapazov's boss gives him one last shot to make things right. This time, his mission is to kill Zalika and Barba. The following day, Rapazov heads out with the 2 friends for a fishing trip. After crossing the plains to get to the lake, they finally arrive and start fishing. Barba gets excited when the bait is taken and asks Rapazov for help pulling the line. But instead of helping, Rapazov pushes him into the water. He then throws Zalika in too, intending to leave them behind. But when he sees them struggling, he can't stand it and dives in to save them. Once they're all back on shore, he brushes it off, calling it a joke. For the first time, he fails to carry out his assignment. Later, back from the lake, Rapazov invites his friends over to his place. He tells them all about Zita, the woman he's in love with, and the guys agree to help him win her over. The next day, Rapazov's friends help him stand and lean against a car, signaling that he doesn't need his wheelchair anymore. He waits for Zita to get off work, but after hours of waiting, he finds out she hasn't been at the hospital. A few days later, Rapazov gets a new job from his boss: kill a drug dealer with a promise of double the usual pay. Rapazov agrees, but only if this is his last job and no more will come after it. Surprisingly, the boss agrees. Rapazov and his friends drive to the dealer's house, and he tells Zalika and Barba to wait in the car while he does the job. Before he can even go inside, the guards search him but find nothing suspicious. They take him inside to meet the dealer, thinking everything is fine. But once he's face to face with the target, Rapazov pulls a gun hidden in his wheelchair cushion and opens fire at the guards. Unfortunately, he misses. The drug dealer grabs the gun and a shootout begins. Rapazov, though weakened by his disability, uses his experience as a hitman to kill everyone, completing the mission despite being seriously wounded. On his way out, he hears police sirens getting closer. He struggles to open the locked gate. Zalika and Barba, terrified, help him escape. Zalika even takes action and stops a police car, while Barba helps Rapazov flee the scene. Rapazov heads to his boss to collect his pay, but things take a strange turn when his boss takes him to an empty warehouse. There, Rapazov starts to realize something's off when he sees a rope hanging nearby. It becomes clear that his boss knows he didn't carry out the mission as planned. Furious and disappointed by his betrayal, the boss tries to strangle him with the rope. Rapazov struggles to free himself, using his legs to push on the ground, but nothing works. Luckily, the rope loosens just in time. Rapazov survives, removes the rope, and heads home. Once back, he gathers Zalika and Barba to plan revenge on the boss. A few days later, Rapazov, looking sharp in a white coat, joins Zalika and Barba at Zita's wedding. He even shows off his singing skills, which impresses everyone, including Zita. She gets emotional, and after he kisses her, her husband gets jealous. After the wedding, Zita's husband and his friends confront Rapazov about what happened. Zalika steps in, threatening the man with a gun and getting Rapazov out of there. Over the next few days, Rapazov puts his plan to take down his boss into motion. He and Zalika visit the boss's hideout, while Barba stays outside. Rapazov demands the pay he's owed, but the boss refuses and threatens to release his dogs on them. Rapazov shoots a fire extinguisher on the table, sending the dogs into a panic. The boss shoots them, and in the chaos, the gun falls to the ground. The boss stabs Rapazov multiple times, but Zalika doesn't intervene. He lets the boss kill Rapazov. After Rapazov dies, Zalika takes matters into his own hands, killing the boss and taking all the money from the safe. He plans to use it for his own surgery. Then, in a twist, it's revealed that the whole story is a fictional creation from Zalika's comic book. He made up the character of Rapazov, who looks just like his father, a man he's never met. He only has a photo of his dad, which inspired him to create this comic book. The story of Rapazov and his adventures is all part of Zalika's imagination. Surprisingly, Zalika's comic becomes a huge hit, and publishers love it. He even gives his father a copy of the comic as a keepsake. And that's the end of the story. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to see more videos like this. Give it a thumbs up to support the channel,